Fall is coming in fast, and if you own rural land, now is the time to get out there. Don't wait until the first freeze catches you off guard. Hey, welcome back to the Land Buyer's Guide. I'm your host, Scott Thomas, owner of landparker.com. We help everyday people get onto rural land with affordable owner financing, sometimes as low as $100 down and $100 a month. So whether you're already out on your land or you're still dreaming about it, this show is for you. Today we're talking fall cleanup, specifically what you should be doing on your rural property right now to get ahead of winter. And honestly, this stuff isn't complicated. It's just about being intentional with your time when you've got this window before the cold settles in. Let's get into it. The first thing I'd suggest before you pick up a single tool is just walk your property slowly, all the way around the boundaries if you can. Fall is actually the best time to do this because the leaves are coming down and you can see a lot more than you could in the middle of summer. You're looking for downed trees near your fence lines, erosion along any slopes or creek banks, signs that someone's been cutting through your land or dumping stuff. Little things you might not notice from the driveway. If you're newer to rural land ownership, this kind of walk is really valuable. You start building a mental map of your place. You catch small problems before they turn into big, expensive ones. It's one of those habits that just pays off over time. Now, once you've got a sense of what's out there, brush clearing is usually one of the first things to tackle. And here's the thing, fall is actually a smarter time to do it than most people realize. A lot of plants are going dormant, so when you cut back invasive shrubs or overgrown fence lines right now, you tend to see less aggressive regrowth the following spring compared to cutting during peak growing season. The areas I'd focus on first are anywhere brush is building up close to structures, outbuildings, or fuel tanks. That stuff creates both fire risk and pest problems, and it's worth keeping clean. Same goes for your drainage ditches and culverts. Clear the vegetation out of those so water can actually move through when the winter rains and snowmelt come. And if you've got invasives on your property, things like multiflora rose, autumn olive, honeysuckle, fall is actually one of the better times to identify and pull them because you can still spot them before full leaf drop. One thing I want to mention though, you don't need to clear every inch of your land. Targeted clearing is smarter than just going after everything. Leave some native brush in low traffic areas. Brush piles and native shrubs actually provide really good winter habitat for wildlife and beneficial insects. That's not a bad thing. Okay, roads and trails. This is a big one. Rural driveways and dirt tracks take a real beating, and winter can turn a minor rut into a serious washout. If you've got low spots that like to collect standing water, fall is the time to grade those or fill them in. Clear debris out of your roadside ditches. Check your culverts for clogs. Leaves and sediment pile up faster than you'd think. If you've got sections that are heavily worn, adding some gravel now before the ground freezes is worth it. And trim back any branches hanging over your road, not just for clearance, but because a heavy snow load can drop those right onto a vehicle. This is especially important if you're living off-grid or depending on that road for deliveries, emergency access, anything like that. Reliable access matters more than most people think until the day it doesn't work. Water systems. If your land has a well, a spring, a pond, a cistern, an irrigation setup, any of that, fall is when you want to winterize and inspect it. Water problems in winter are both expensive and miserable to deal with when the ground is frozen solid. Drain and disconnect your outdoor hoses and irrigation lines before that first hard freeze. Check well caps and covers for any cracks or damage. Look at your pump house or well house and make sure there's enough insulation in there. If you've got a septic system, it's worth confirming when it was last serviced. These aren't glamorous tasks, but catching a problem in October is a whole lot easier than dealing with it in January. Let's talk trees for a second. Trees are honestly one of the most valuable assets on rural land, and fall is a good time to assess them. Once the leaves drop, it becomes much easier to see structural issues, dead limbs, leaning trunks, signs of fungal growth at the base, which can indicate decay inside the tree. Pay particular attention to anything hanging over a structure, over a power line, or over an area people use regularly. A dead limb you know about is manageable. One that surprises you in a nice storm is a different situation entirely. If you're thinking about adding to your firewood supply, fall-felled trees can season over winter and be ready to burn by late the following year. Good planning there. And for anything complex, a big tree close to a building or utility line, it's worth calling in a certified arborist. DIY tree work can be really satisfying, but some situations just call for someone with the right training and equipment. Outbuildings and fences need some love before winter too. Walk your fence lines and make note of broken posts, sagging wire, any sections that need repair. Check the roofs on your barns and sheds for anything missing or damaged. A small roof issue now can become a real problem under a heavy snow load. Clear leaves and debris from gutters and roof valleys so you don't end up with ice dams. Lubricate your gate hinges and latches before they freeze up on you, and get any equipment or tools stored that shouldn't be sitting outside all winter. Fire safety is something worth thinking about this time of year too. Dead vegetation and debris building up around structures is a real risk, especially heading into dry, late fall and early spring conditions. Keep a clear zone around your home and outbuildings. Move wood piles away from walls. Give yourself some space there. Check your burn barrel or fire pit setup if you use one. And before you do any open burning of leaves or brush, know your local regulations. They vary quite a bit depending on where you are. Here's something simple that a lot of landowners skip, but really shouldn't. Keep a basic maintenance log. It doesn't need to be anything fancy. A notebook, a notes app on your phone, a simple spreadsheet. Just write down what you checked, what you found, what you fixed, when the culverts were cleared, where you spotted erosion, which fence sections need a follow-up visit. Over time, this thing becomes genuinely useful. You start seeing patterns, you can budget better, you make smarter decisions about improvements. It's one of those small habits that just quietly pays off. All right, big picture takeaway here. Fall cleanup doesn't have to mean exhausting yourself every weekend for 2 months. A few focused hours each week through October and November can make a real difference. The goal isn't perfection, it's catching the problems early, protecting what you've built, and giving yourself a head start when spring rolls around. Rural land ownership is one of the most rewarding things you can do. And building these seasonal habits early, just taking care of your land in a consistent way, it makes the whole experience a lot more manageable and honestly, a lot more enjoyable. Thanks so much for listening today. If you're thinking about buying your own piece of rural land, head over to landparker.com. We've got properties available across the country with affordable owner financing. No bank required, no credit check, and payment options that work for real people. Go check out what's available at landparker.com. We'd love to help you find your land.